Hi guys, Aceface here, back with another video for you, and this is like a little bit of an update. This is my sort of next project, and I'm kind of back on track now, so I want to very much start dedicating a lot more time to my beloved NIDs. So we're going to start getting back on track with some tactical videos, and some more bat reps hopefully, and a lot more painting of all sorts of the new units, tutorials on how to do the magnetising on certain units, so loads more NID stuff, how to beat certain armies, and also who to take as your cheesy allies if you want to exploit the new rules available to you. But today what I want to show you is this guy, because this is the next thing I'm going to be working on. So hopefully you'll join me on my journey to getting this guy on the table. So this is my Hierodule, Barbed Hierodule for that point, and this guy is an amazing model. So this guy's a Forge World model. He costs, if I can remember, it's about £90 UK pounds. Obviously then you have the enormous Forge World price, which is always worth mentioning to get it from Forge World if you can, which is what I always try and tend to do, because I'm always up at competitions there. But he's an awesome model. He's quite old now, he's been around a few years, and one of the telltale signs of the fact he's quite old is actually in example for other Tyranid models, he's actually not that massive for a big super heavy. And what I will do in one of the future videos is I'll give you a comparison between him and say a Turvagun and other units that we've got available to us now. But he is a lot more stocky. He is a big guy, but his just actual stature is not necessarily as big as possibly his stat line might suggest. But yeah, he's a really cool model. Again, like my Hierodule, he's got all this amazing amount of detail in his tail, with the bone, and it just lends itself to very easy painting, because everything you do, so many raised details area, it just looks fantastic. All his carapace is all multiple detailed, so it just looks absolutely fantastic. And his face, I think, is wicked. I mean, I can't wait to get painting this guy. He's going to be absolutely amazing. So I've kind of jumped ahead and got this guy primed, and what I've also got is I've got this guy magnetised up. Now, he's not someone you need to magnetise because he doesn't have options as such, but for a transport point of view, I just thought it was handy to have things magnetised. So this guy has these two bio cannons, and what I've done is I've just, in a very simple way, and you'll see it in sort of my other videos, so you don't necessarily need to see it, but if you want to jump back and see some of my other magnetising videos, you can see how I've done it. But I've just popped two magnets in the holes either side, and then that allows me just to pop that in there, and you've got a nice fix on that, which means obviously you can position it. If you are going to do this, I would definitely use a very strong magnet. I've used N52s, because this is quite a substantial lump of resin, and if you don't use a heavy duty enough magnet, it will just sag and droop. So but there you go, you can see again, nice and solid. And then it has two talons, and the talons sit underneath like that, so they look pretty cool. So that's one side, and then let's just turn him around. Let's pop this on. Oops. There we go. And find his other talon, which is just over here. Let's pop that on. So there you go, you can see him. I said he's a really cool model, really stocky. I'll probably do some tactics on him at some point, because I think you need to use him in a certain way, because actually he's quite vulnerable as a super heavy goes, but he's still got a wicked part to play. And because he's relatively cheap for a super heavy, he's easy to field in a relatively small game in the new rules. So he's a pretty cool model. So that's the actual model itself. Now you also get a dedicated base for him, which is this one here. Now I've got started on this. Now the problem that you find with these are that they are a resin base because of the details, but you do always tend to find with these, I found these on a couple of occasions, they're a little bit warped in places, but this is not too bad. It's still, I mean, it lays quite nice and flat, it's stable, it's not rocking around, it still looks decent, but there's that. But what I've done with this is I've done exactly the same style as you would have seen on plenty of my other Tyranids. Again, it's all about just putting down the texturing paint, which I can't remember the name of it at the moment. I'll put the description below if I can remember. And then I dry brush it up in several different colours of grey, and then I use my Forge World weathering powders. I turn them into almost a bit of a wash, and I paint them all over. It depends on how brown or earthy I want the base to be. This one's quite brown, quite sort of muddy looking, and I use various different colours of the Forge World powders till I get the effect and colour that I'm after. Brush that off, and then I'll do a final dry brush if I feel it needs it on certain points, and that's what I've done with this on the rocky parts. But it gives a real effective, simple finish to do, which is quite nice. The weathering powder is a real good tool to use. If you haven't used weathering powders, don't be afraid to use them. They will give you a more natural effect to your bases. So it's something that I've only started using probably in the last sort of 6 months, and I'm really pleased that I use them now because they do make a hell of a lot of difference. So there's 2 little rippers on the base, which is a nice little core effect. So get those guys all painted up at a later date, and it looks quite cool because it's got 2 feet positions, which means that it's nice and easy to pose him on there. Still not sure whether I will just put magnets in there, pin it, or stick him down to it. I'm not too sure at the moment, but if you like, he goes like that, and then there we go, sits in place. Now he's a bit top heavy just on his own, so he won't just sit